Hello everyone, my name is Ashley and today I'm going to teach y'all about social justice theory and Hofstede's cultural dimensions theory. We will be starting out with cultural dimension theory. Okay, so what is cultural dimension? In summary, the goal behind cultural dimension is to help people understand cultural differences, values, and social behavior for these cultures. For an example, if you will look at the picture to your bottom right, it shows two people introducing themselves to the other. One person, for an example, is reaching out to shake the other hand while the other is bowing. This is a very common misunderstanding between cultures within communication. In America, when we are meeting another, we will shake the other's hand in a formal and sometimes in an informal environment. In Western culture, they will usually bow to the other when introducing themselves to a new person. Now then, what to know about cultural dimension? There are 6 keys that Mr. Hofstede founded. First one is called power distance. This will describe the extent of powerful members in an organization. Secondly, is individualism versus collectivism, where individualism is focused on the self and collectivism is focused on the we. Third is masculinity versus femininity. I hope I'm saying that right. That's such a mouthful. Fourth, we have uncertainty avoidance index that addresses the tolerance for undercoding and ambiguity in the culture. Next up is long-term versus short-term orientation. And then last but not least is the indulgence versus restraint, which helps us define the consideration of the extent of a society to fulfill. We will discuss these 6 dimensions more in just a few. So, cultural dimension helps our cultures in multiple and amazing ways. This theory helps us understand cultural etiquette and communication. Therefore, when we travel to these countries, we have the chances to be more prepared and can know what to expect. Something else that cultural dimension helps is our sociologists and psychologists study and grow in their theories and be successful in their work, and we will discuss this in a second. As you walk away from our time together, what you should know about cultural dimension theory is this. It helps people understand cultural differences by helping us understand how they communicate with others and what is understood to be polite and what is to be considered to be rude. It helps provide a framework for sociologists by being able to describe the effects of the culture that has on people and how these relate to the behavior of culture on their values. It helps psychologists whose main focus is on cross-cultural international management and cross-cultural communication. Now, let's talk about those key dimensions I was telling y'all about earlier. Alrighty, so let's start on power distance, also known as power distance index. So as we touched on earlier, power distance is defined as to what is accepted and or is expected from each member in an institution or organization, defining their responsibilities. This can be found in families or in a business situational environment. Power distance is broken up into 2 degrees. One is considered with high degrees. This can be looked at where everyone has a place and there is no need for a justification for it. Where in a society with low degrees, people will seek to have equal power distribution. The culture will take on more of a democratic point of view on how to separate the power and authority between everyone. For an example, excuse me. Families that have a low power index, there's more on an equality between the parent and child, where the child can be found to talk back, yell, and do whatever they want to. The parents allow this and do nothing to stop it. Families that have a higher power index, the child is expected to listen and to do what the parent is saying and to not question the parent, and will display more respect to the parent and the higher authorities around them. Individualism is defined as the achievements and the individual's rights by focusing on the needs of oneself and their immediate families. Collectivism is defined as the goals and the well-being of the group. The person's self-image is the group and not just oneself. It emphasizes the relationship and loyalty. All right, now, masculine and feminine. Masculinity is defined as the one that has to be assertive, strong, and in charge of the household. This can be considered to be the man of the house and usually will be found to be the husband. Feminine or femininity is defined as to be cooperative, to not question the husband or the man of the house, and is nurturing or mothering. What you would consider to be your stereotypical housewife found in the 50s, 60s era, more or less, for an example. Now then, as the definition has developed over the years, along with masculinity and femininity, has been found with the cultures that do have a higher femininity score that considers women to be more important in companies and in their cultural general, and will offer maternity leave and have affordable childcare. Sadly, cultures with a lower femininity score, women are considered to be less important, and women may be found in a leadership role in businesses, but they will have to be have more credentials to make themselves seem more qualified for the job compared to a man. Uncertainty avoidance addresses the society tolerance for uncertain ambiguity. The dimension reflects to attempt to how the culture copes with their anxiety by minimizing uncertainty. The avoidance refers to how threatening change is to a culture. High avoidance is considered to be cultures that have a low tolerance, uncertainty, and are not risk takers. Individuals seek to minimize the unknown through strict rules, regulations, and more. People have also been found to be more emotional. Cultures that are found to have a low tolerance, uncertainty, accept and feel comfortable in an unstructured situation or a changeable environment. People will feel comfortable with few rules and are most tolerant towards change. Long-term and short-term orientation helps cultures encourage delayed gratification or the material, social, and emotional needs of their members. Long-term is defined to be focused on the future in a way that will delay short-term success in favor of success going towards the future. Traits found to describe the long-term orientation of is persistency, saving, ability for adapting, and willingly for long-term growth. Short-term focuses on the near future, delivering short-term success or gratification, while places a stronger emphasis on the present. Traits that define short-term orientation are emphasizing quick results and respect for tradition. It's found to be related to the past and the present, and can result in current responses to social and ecological pressures. And then last but not least, indulgence versus restraint considers the extent and the tendency of a society to fulfill its desire. It is a measure of the culture's impulses and desires. Indulgent society indicates that the society allows a relatively free gratification and high levels of a happy life. In a high indulgent society, people have been found to spend more money on luxuries and enjoy more freedom when it comes to extracurricular. In comparison, when in a restrained society, people tend to suppress the gratification of their wants and focus on their needs to regulate them through a social norm. These people will likely save money and focus on their needs instead of spending more money freely. Now then, let's talk about social justice theory. Alrighty, so you are probably wondering what is social theory, and I don't blame you. Social justice is considered to be the political, excuse me, and also a philosophical focus of cultural and social equality rights, regardless of the person's background, characteristics, traits, and how they care for themselves. Social justice can be found to be helpful in many ways. Social justice is considered with ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate fully in society and benefit from its resources. Now then, at times, equality can get confused with equity. Equity is the quality of being fair and impartial. For an example, if we look at the bottom right picture, all boys have a box to stand on while watching the baseball game. Yet the boy on the farther right cannot see the game because he is shorter than the others, even though he has one box like the other two. The boy on the far left is so tall that he could do without the box, meaning if he would be taking that into consideration, he would give up his box and let the shorter boy have his. Then he would be able to see the game. Therefore, when we look at the other side of the picture labeled equity, you can see where the taller boy does take this into consideration and allows the smaller boy to have his box. This can be considered equal, where all boys who need a box have one, making the time at the game positive, and everyone is able to enjoy it in a quality-like manner. Social justice theory is defined by having 4 different principles. Equality of opportunity is looked at to create a level playing field where everyone has a chance to succeed, regardless of social standings, background, or identity. Fair distribution of resources focuses on the unequal distribution of resources between wealth, power, and opportunities. This will aim to create a more equal society when necessary to make sure these resources are shared equally between others. Thirdly, access to basic needs, recognizing that everyone has a right to access basic necessities, including shelter, education, and more. Lastly, but not least, human rights recognizes that social justice cannot be achieved without ensuring everyone's fundamental rights are protected and ensure the world, and their personal lives. Some things to keep in mind with social justice theory are the key components of this theory. First one is systematic issues. Systematic issues keep the main focus going towards the law, policies, institutions, and cultural structures. Keeping this focus will help us find where we can find places for improvements or anything that could be revised. Secondly is historical context. This is a very crucial understanding for social justice issues from the past, so we do not repeat those problems in our culture. Lastly, social responsibility. Emphasize collective responsibility of others in the community, individuals, and families. This will help us understand what people expect to follow and what is the equality we can find at the beginning of this presentation and cultural dimension. Thank you all for spending some time with me today. I hope you were able to learn something new. If you need the references, you may find those on the next slide. Have a fabulous day, everyone.